federation, Bundeszwang, especially in the federation by the Southern Secretary.
Welcome to the guest lecture of His Excellency High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mr. Christian Schmidt. Let me invite our rector, Professor Dr. Škrijelj, to give a welcome note on this occasion. Rector, please.
Vaša ekscelencijo, visoki predstavniče za Bosnu i Hercegovinu, gospodine Schmidt, poštovani predsjedniče Akademije nauka i umjetnosti Bosne i Hercegovine, gospodine Čičić, poštovani akademici, poštovani članovi i članice Senata i Upravnog odbora Univerziteta u Sarajevu, poštovani prorektori i prorektorice, dekani i dekanice, profesori, drage studentice i studenti, uposlenici, dame i gospodo.
Your Excellency, High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mr. Schmidt, dear President of the Academy of Science and Arts of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Academic Čičić, dear academics, respected members of the Senate and Board of the University of Sarajevo, dear Vice Rectors, Deans, Professors, students and employees of the University of Sarajevo, ladies and gentlemen.
U ime akademske zajednice Univerziteta u Sarajevu i u svoje lično ime, danas imam izuzetnu čast da poželim dobrodošlicu na Univerzitet u Sarajevu, najiskrenijem i najodgovornijem predstavniku međunarodne zajednice u Bosni i Hercegovini, njegovoj ekscelenciji, visokom predstavniku za Bosnu i Hercegovinu, gospodinu Christianu Schmidtu.
On behalf of the academic community of the University of Sarajevo and on my own behalf, today I have a great honor to welcome to the University of Sarajevo the most prominent representative of international community in Bosnia and Herzegovina, His Excellency, the High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mr. Christian Schmidt.
U krajnje složenoj i turbulentnoj društveno-političkoj situaciji u Bosni i Hercegovini, veoma smo zahvalni uvaženom visokom predstavniku gospodinu Schmidtu na odvojenom vremenu i spremnosti da svoje uvide u bosansko-hercegovačku političku realnost podijeli sa akademskom zajednicom najstarijeg, najvećeg i najboljeg univerziteta u Bosni i Hercegovini. Uloga univerziteta, između ostalog, jeste da posluži kao odgovorna akademska platforma putem koje šira javnost može doći do provjerenih i vjerodostojnih činjenica koje precizno opisuju izazove i probleme savremenog bosansko-hercegovačkog društva.
In the extremely complex and turbulent socio-political situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we are very grateful to the distinguished High Representative, Mr. Schmidt, for his time and willingness to share his insights into the political reality of Bosnia and Herzegovina with the academic community of the oldest, largest, and best university in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The role of the university, among other things, is to serve as a responsible academic platform through which the general public can obtain verified and credible facts that accurately describe the challenges and problems of contemporary Bosnian society.
Univerzitet u Sarajevu je institucija visokog obrazovanja koja ozbiljno drži do ove odgovornosti i u tom kontekstu treba posmatrati i današnje predavanje. Želim naglasiti da Univerzitet u Sarajevu cijeni djelovanje visokog predstavnika za Bosnu i Hercegovinu, naročito u onom aspektu ostvarivanja uslova za jačanje institucija i drugih preduslova za stabilnost i razvoj suverene Bosne i Hercegovine.
The University of Sarajevo is a higher education institution that takes this responsibility seriously, and today's lecture should be viewed in this context. I would like to emphasize that the University of Sarajevo appreciates the actions of the High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially in the aspect of creating conditions for strengthening institutions and other preconditions for stability and development of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Na kraju, uz zahvalnost visokom predstavniku i njegovom pozitivnom odnosu prema Univerzitetu u Sarajevu, zahvaljujem se i svima vama koji svojim prisustvom iskazujete odgovoran odnos prema ključnim izazovima sa kojima se susreće Bosna i Hercegovina. Hvala vam na pažnji.
Along with my gratitude to the High Representative and his positive attitude towards the University of Sarajevo, I also thank all of you who, by your presence, show a responsible attitude toward the key challenges that our society is facing. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Rector. Now, without further delays, it is my pleasure to invite High Representative to take the floor. Please.
Magnificence, academic community, Students, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity at such a very important and preferred place of academic exchange to share some hours with you. Should not be the first, is not, and should not be the last. Academic dispute is something very vivid, but only to reassure you, I as well, we have made the experience that the best and the way is a very peaceful way. So if you're thinking about any injuries, this was only a visit of the racer this morning, and should not refer to the level of exchange and commitment and debate we have. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, not only those who are dealing every day with the issue of legal, political, and other areas to share some insights with you. First, I have to say that I'm coming from the law faculty, which I did in Erlangen and Lausanne and Switzerland. And I have to say, my studies in state law never ever had such a need for being proved as the situation in Bosnia-Herzegovina. If there is a center, a focus of the possibility to make use of academic knowledge and testing in the relation to reality, I could not imagine any other country than Bosnia-Herzegovina. Should I say, in the ranking of the most complicated legal state situations and more, I think Bosnia-Herzegovina would rank very, very high. This has an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is that it needs a lot of research, estimation, and decision to continue and to improve for the better. The disadvantage is that some people outside of this country are tending to have a superficial experience and knowledge about the situation, and so sometimes misjudgments are coming up. I thank you very much for your contribution in the academic exchange to contribute to a better understanding. On the other side, I see that there is not every time in this country the academic principle I learned, and you know, is followed, quid pedagis prudenta agas et respice finem. Sometimes I think we should better sit and come and have a dialogue and decision what to do instead of what could be any narrative. So I think at a time when the March 21st European Council decided to open accession negotiations with Bosnia-Herzegovina, this is a right decision for BiH, and people here were right to be happy about it. It is a watershed moment of the in terms of the opportunities that open for Bosnia and Herzegovina. By building on the achievements in the Dayton implementation, it shows that the Dayton implementation and the EU integration reinforce each other. Dayton is the guarantee of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and internal administrative structure of BiH. It is the guardian of peace, stability, and progress in BiH since late 1995, and is the foundation and not a contradiction to the EU integration of BiH. And it should not be lost because it remains the basis, the guarantor for the structure we have these days and these years in Bosnia-Herzegovina. If you allow me myself, being the first time in 1992 in Sarajevo, and then having spent at several occasions a lot of time in then the S4 Camp Rajlovac in my competence as Deputy Minister of Defense, and more about the region there. I know this is not only about theoretical academic discussion, it is about implementation of state of law. This is where I think that this could come together very well with the EU integration. However, I had the impression that many people, including and especially some in the political class, are not aware what exactly the opening of accession negotiations means for Bosnia-Herzegovina. It means a lot of work. The EU's requirements are high, and I may assure you they are sometimes complicated and need some commitment to understand, sometimes a little bit to adapt. They are high, and especially in the area of the rule of law, the criteria are clear. Bosnia and Herzegovina must adapt to European values, standards, criteria. Let me come to the relation between Dayton and Bosnia and European Union access. I am standing here as a rare species. You will not find that easy or anywhere in the world somebody with the executive competences put in by international community in a special situation as an ad hoc institution of the international community who interferes if he is proving necessary, but who understands that the development in the country has to be based on own decisions, decisions of those being elected and those represented. Let me say that sometimes I would like to see more participation of the people, of the citizens themselves. I feel it's okay, I'm coming from a representative democracy. But representative democracy lives with the contribution of the electorate, of everybody. And so I think that we should have focus on possibilities of better contribution, participation on all levels of public interest. So if we remind us to the most important facts of Dayton, the state of Bosnia and Herzegovina comprises two entities we know very well, the Federation of Bosnia-Herzegovina and the Republika Srpska, with the Brčko district as a condominium. And we all know, we had at the beginning some exchange about experiences and the war times in this country, that the construction of the entity structure of Bosnia-Herzegovina is an answer and way to get the complicated situation and the war, the end of the war, the ceasefire, to be put in a state structure. So sometimes I think, if I have said, as I said recently, I'm somehow the guarantor of the entities, including the guarantor of Republika Srpska. Some are surprised, but it's the case, because the structure as it is in the Constitution of Bosnia-Herzegovina, which is the famous Annex 4 of the General Framework of Dayton, is the basis. This does not mean that beyond the structure of entities, of cantons, municipalities, and the state, there would be any question who is the international law subject. The subject of international law is the state of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Those who want to get this proved, I suggest just to read Dayton and to read some other international agreements. Very interesting, for example, the succession agreement, which was done in the year 2001 between the successor states of the former Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. In this time, 5 out of them, Slovenia, Yugoslavia, consisting out of Serbia and Montenegro, today Northern Macedonia, Croatia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. So this is very clear that the state who is part among these 5 representing Bosnia-Herzegovina is the state of Bosnia-Herzegovina. And this is not an entity. So sometimes I think let us go to work for the future, for things where we can discuss. But those, should I say, axiomatic positions, which are very clear, and nobody in the academic or in the legal community would just talk about this, we should keep. Yes, we know that the structure of the entities and the structure of the state, if one is reading the Constitution, gives some right as well to the entities, and that there is some need for cooperation. If I am compared, excuse my please, to the German constitution, we have put in the federalist approach and understanding the need for cooperation, the Bundeszwang. You have to work together. And this is as well a part of the constitution of Bosnia-Herzegovina. We see that there is another issue which is rare in the public discussion in Europe or anywhere else. I felt this when I made 2 years ago, not an easy decision, not for me, not for those to understand, to go for deblocking and getting back functionality, especially in the federation, but as well in the state itself. We're coming to the discussion where I would invite the academic community as well to contribute, and you're contributing a lot. What is the relation between the structure of ethnic groups, let me say groups, you can say people, and the others, and of the citizens? So I think this has been answered in Dayton, but I see that there could be some discussion about this. If we see on the second chamber of the parliament, the House of People, or in Republika Srpska, the similar, that we have on the level of state, not yet the others, as they are called in the Constitution, integrated, but giving a full legal competence in legislation. How do we manage to go with this? It's better in the federation. I try to contribute a little bit, but I have to say this is a very interesting question, which I am very sure that we will not come around without asking the question and giving answer. So I think those who have the idea that Bosnia-Herzegovina's legal structure, constitutional structure, and those of the entities would just only consist of the individuals, do not see that there seems a need of keeping identity and participation for groups. for people, but the balance to find it in the European integration structure is not that easy. We see this with some decisions you know very well about from the European Court of Human Rights. Let me, by the way, say we have some attacks on the international judges and on me saying, bring them off the internationals. At the same time, those people are saying, let us go for Europe. I have to disappoint. Anybody who is part of European integration will make a very important experience, that there's another level of jurisdiction which is not only the European Court of Human Rights, which is connected to the Council of Europe, but the European Court. And let me tell you, as somebody who served for 12 years in the government of a member state of European Union, you're not all the time happy with those decisions, like one is not every time happy with court decisions, but they have to be implemented. There is no way to say, but in Banja Luka there is no international judgment, or in anywhere else. This has to be cleared before you enter negotiations, before you enter your understanding, because you profit. Everybody, the citizens are profiting and the country. Because on the other side, what is a kind of guarantee that the structure as well fits and safeguards the existence of the legal system in this country. So sometimes I feel that probably we are doing a little bit too much. European integration started not with the principle of homogenization of every legislation. We started with the idea that every legal regulation which does fit and meet standards is as well accepted if there is a difference between the national member states of European community, and this time European Union now. So I would say this is as well to find a balance. Sometimes I would be, as a long-standing parliamentarian, be more happy to have very important influence of European Parliament because you see as well on the European experience that it has to be a tension, a productive tension between the legal and the executive branch. We have not this distinction on European level because the executive branch is as well the legal branch, the European Commission and the European Council. So it is not a pure observation how it probably would be in a showroom of legal theories, constitutional theories, but it has to be as a mixture of the influx and the knowledge of the people, representing them, and not only having the sometimes a little bit bureaucratic approach to rule everything. So this leads sometimes to overruling, and we should just calm down. I would invite that we start, and you start. I know there's a lot of knowledge about European regulations, that one starts early to have a look what can be used now. My concern, this is not legal and not academic but political, is that if it takes, and it will take some time, to adapt the so-called acquis communautaire, and this is precondition for having full membership, we should more think about having opportunities now to use parts to make life not more comfortable, but as well the contribution to the European market. I have an example which maybe you can link to my former position as Minister of Agriculture and Nutrition in Germany. This is about Sir, Travnik Sir. What does he want to talk about Travnik Sir? I like it. But they have made in Travnik a very interesting use of European possibilities. One of the examples, I know there are as well, JVP and others as well used. You have a possibility to give a seal of traditional production or of regional speciality, which is very well known in Europe. By the way, does not correspond with the for American understanding. We had a lot of discussions because they think there should only be the product itself. We see, okay, if we know this is Sir from anywhere in Switzerland and Germany, it's the Emmentaler, you know, you have this is a proof of guarantee, mostly. So they did it. And they tried to get this Sir produced under the rules of European legislation and requirements. And to my astonishment, recently in a German supermarket, what did I find? I found a Sir, Travnik Sir, already listed. So maybe you say, okay, this is your right. The European Union has not been founded as a dairy and cheese union, but it is what makes possibilities and what we should use ahead of the full membership in European Union. And coming to more challenging issues, I think we have to ask and to expect from everybody who takes responsibility here in Bosnia-Herzegovina, as in a public function, that he does not pose into question the existence and integrity of Bosnia-Herzegovina. I, in reverse, would ask that we go for a kind of allegiance of commitment to Bosnia-Herzegovina. This does not mean that you are giving up your identity. What is my personal fate of my family? We are coming from Franconia. Franconia is the northern part of Bavaria. But why did we become part of Bavaria? Because this guy from Kos called Napoleon made some rearrangements in Europe. So I'm a minority, if one can say, in denomination and in regional situation. But we learned that Europe, now in the last 200 years, we are part of Bavaria, and we are part of Germany and part of Europe. So I haven't seen that you can only claim to say, I'm a Franconian, I'm a Bavarian, and not a German. So I think I would ask us to understand that every level has its reasonability, but the state level has to be accepted. And so first of all, this is not only my passport, this is a German one, and with a European page, I would say European. Sometimes I feel that this is a lack of commitment here, and I do not fully understand. I could understand what the reasons are, ideas are behind, but these are not fitting ideas. Who is in a country like yours, like a lot of countries in Europe with a lot of good and bad experience, drawing the conclusions for the legal foundation of the future. This means, I think, that we have to commit ourselves to a constitution which observes the basic human rights, citizens' rights, non-discrimination, so equality, and the protection of individuality and identity for groups. We have an example which I know reasonably well. This is Southern Tyrolia, where there's a German, in comparison to Italy, minority, but with a lot of possibilities to keep it, not excluding that somebody who lives there can claim whatever he is, I think, and where he wants to belong to. So I think we should see this as a part of a need of working more, getting non-discrimination being done. I know that there is, if you have different levels and quantities to vote, we have the discussion of the so-called Ljubic case and the Komšić case. I think, yes, one can talk about this, but we have to put it in the structure of constitutional amendments as well, referring to this, what we call about the group of Sejdić-Finci, decisions of the European Court of Human Rights. I wouldn't see a contradiction to this. It's not easy to sit. I take it as a good decision of the European Council not to take this as a precondition, because if you look to the neighboring country, Northern Macedonia, you see how complicated it is when too many preconditions for opening of EU accession negotiations are in. Up to now, no one single chapter has been opened in Northern Macedonia because a neighboring country, member country of European Union, does block this. So better we have it in the procedure of the negotiations for access. But we have to address this, and it has been already addressed. Look back just 2 years to Neum, and look back to the times of the April package and whatever happened. I do not say that we have to adapt to this 100%, but to see that we need a momentum of preparedness of deciding things. And if recently somebody said to me, I'm repeating this very often because this impressed me, he said, Mr. Schmidt, you are very German. You are too few Balkanese. I said, okay, I cannot Balkanese, and if I would do this, I think this would not fit to anything. My experience is a very structuralized approach. So I think if we going for the future of, we have to see that we have to put it on the constitutional framework and go for implementing this. So this addresses the challenge, which is not only a case for Bosnia-Herzegovina, but the challenge of corruption. We have to address this because corruption means de facto a deprivation of people out of their rights because they are not equal. And our understanding is that we should be equal, which denomination, which ethnic heritage, whatever it is. So I think we have to put it in these European standards. And I would see that there is as well a possibility for contribution from Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is, you can call it the complicated situation, 3 people, others, and structures, and two entities and more, but you can take it as an advantage. The experience to settle cases, situations like this needs not only commitment but experience. And some in Europe do not have this experience. So why shouldn't I say, please go and tell and discuss with others about your experiences you have and what is necessary. Necessary, I think, is that we stick to the rules. This is my daily working. This is the essential text of data and accords and something more. It is not the Bible, not the Quran, but it is a good basis where we have agreed ones. And we should stick, if we develop, add another chapter, okay. So I have to see and say, this is a living document. If anybody says, look, this rule does not work out, and I could say, yes, there are some rules in very, very complicated, or they are not sufficient. If I think that there are rules, what happens if there is no consensus? We had this recently last year in the Federation Constitution about the way of deciding about a government. I've put in now a proposal, come into force, by the way, end of this month. I said 1 year, you have time and you should go and think about your own solution. I've heard that there's now in the parliament a proposal for a solution. Yes, it would be good in this living document to add something, but everybody should know, if you only are complaining about others making decisions, are not contributing your own in your competence, this is not convincing. So let us go for doing this and encouraging the young people especially to ask for this. I have, by the way, last year as well implemented in the Constitution as a proposal for Bosnia, for the Federation, more right of young people to participate in decision making. So far, I haven't seen that the legislation has been done. Legislation exists and comes if there's pressure from those who feel affected. So I would invite you to feel affected, to be critical, to pose critical questions, and to make constructive proposals for improvement. And especially if in my end with this, may I invite you not only to think to go anywhere else. This is the country which needs younger generation, with all respect to the elder generation, but it needs the younger generation. If we would not see you, maybe with enriched with some experiences from other European or American countries, academies or work, I think this would be an empty envelope. So we have to put in something, and so I understand that European integration as well has definitely to contribute to a better standards of living, in the sense that people feel, more people feel, that this is the place I can stay, I will stay, and it will contribute. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your lecture. Now there is this part of the lecture today where we start with the Q&A session. We agreed with the colleagues from the Office of the High Representative to take one question at the time. So, dear audience, the floor is yours. Please, whoever wants to ask a question, raise your hand. Okay.
Pozdravljam sve prisutne i visokog predstavnika. Suha Đorđić, student Fakulteta političkih nauka i lider neformalne grupe Restart, udruženja Restart budući. Pravio sam proteste ispred vaše kuće više puta, znate me već. Moje pitanje, prvo da se zahvalim za nametanje tehničkih izmjena izbornog zakona, što je i bila inicijativa Restarta, i drago mi je što ste isključili neke druge pritiske koje smo imali od HDZ-a. Sada ste na istom tragu građanske Bosne i Hercegovine, normalne države, moderne, koja će biti po evropskim vrijednostima, evropskim konvencijama za ljudska prava, presudama iz Strasbura, a ne dalja etnotorizacija koju traži Dragan Čović. Moje pitanje za vas, kako vidite jučerašnju najavu od Dragana Čovića i lidera Trojke da će staviti u parlamentarnu proceduru ponovno etnotorizaciju, odnosno kroz izbor legitimnog predstavnika hrvatskog naroda u predsjedništvo, dalje podjele, kako vidite, da li je to prst u oko vama i Americi, koja je jasno stavila do znanja da je na putu moderne Bosne i Hercegovine? I drugo pitanje, pošto ste u stalnom kontaktu sa članicama PIK-a, kako vidite odnos SAD-a i Europske unije po pitanju budućnosti Bosne i Hercegovine? Da li je kompatibilan ili je u oprečnom statusu? Hvala vam.
Thank you. A little bit I could understand, and it is. I have my role is not only this, to substitute if the parliamentary bodies are not going for decision, as well to interpret Dayton. I thank you indeed. This was a kind of decision because of last resort, to have the OSCE ODIHR regulations, the standards, put in European, on BiH level of election law. I heard a little bit that you talked about as well about Dragan Čović and HDZ. I suggested that we de-link the question of the representation election of the presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which only can be fixed by amendment to the constitution, to the simple question, what can we manage and do to improve legally the confidence of the voters into the election process. So I kept this and I keep this. I would not take this as any critics about my work if now Parliament is sitting again. The only question would be, why do you not have done it yet? This is your job. You have to go, and you have made tactical movements, one which is the other, with no result. So if you go, okay, but please take in account that the standards of international rules have to be respected. And we just had yesterday elections as well in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Croatian elections. Which rules are they following? They following, and I have read very, very precisely the recommendations of ODIHR and OSCE about the Croatian elections. And the results and the comments are quite more positive than those about the BiH elections. So why should a voter in Mostar who is holding two citizenships vote due to the rules of OSCE and ODIHR standards if he votes for the Croatian Sabor and not if he votes for a municipality or for parliament in Bosnia and Herzegovina? So this is the question. I think we have be patient, but I feel not annoyed, but if I see not only personally, but that there is a development which does not contribute to the citizens, I think this is the time when I have to act. If what I would not accept, could not accept is if now they're starting a procedure of sitting, talking, and deciding nothing. Elections will be, if I look in the election law for the municipality, the 6th of October this year. There are rules. We need a possibility for checking who is going voting, identity of voters. We will start with the pilot projects only. So, but this has to be implemented. If you never start with a pilot project, you not come to the general elections with another level and standard of correct and fair elections. And sometimes I have a dissent with some technical discussions. Some are saying, okay, but this is only technical. I said, no, this is more. If you ask yourself, please, you do not have to give me an answer. And if you think you and in your family or in the neighborhood, do people rely on their voting being counted correctly? Yes or no? If we would see that there is necessity to upgrade this expectation, we have to act. Because Jean Monnet, he is the famous first citizen d'honneur, honorary citizen of Europe. By the way, he was a cognac dealer from France, but he made the statement, we do not want to have a coalition of governments. We want to bring together people. So if this is the case, I can not only address the nice people of the parties, the presidents of the parties in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I have to make my deal with the voters. By the way, if I'm stopping now again, but you remember very well that we had the 12th of June, 2022, this is nearly 2 years ago, a solemn promise of all heads of political parties, relevant political parties of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the presence of Charles Michel, the president of the European Council, to do, for example, election integrity. 2 years ago. And the voters haven't seen anything. So this is the case where I think we have to go. You asked about the Peace Implementation Council and some, let's say, US, European Union relations. I would say European Union is a little bit more complicated than US because we are 27 and in future more than 30. And I can share my own experiences as being for a long time member of the Ministerial Council. It is not that easy to get a consent. So by the way, I'm for majority voting more than we have up to now. But as long as it is, it's complicated. For example, if we talk about sanctions. I had the honor to be in 2011. There was the European Union Commissioner for International Relations, Cathy Ashton. And I was part in this conference in this Ministerial Council where we decided in 2011 to have sanctions regime towards Bosnia and Herzegovina. By the way, has been extended just 5 days after the decision of opening accession negotiations. And they have been used. They addressed several persons, including one very famous person today being in the media every minute, every hour. But you need a consent. You need 27 yay says for these sanctions. The Americans, they are easier. They sent the head of the Treasury here and say, look, don't underestimate our intention. Basically, I cannot speak for European Union. I would not say that they like to do the same. because the understanding of European Union is more patient, because where do we come from? We know that we had France and Germany, now the closest allies. We had 100 years of war, one against the other. So it needs sometimes a patience. But basically, I just recently had a good exchange, and I may cite with Jim O'Brien, who is now the Assistant Secretary at this Department of State in Washington. He knows very well the region, and he referred that there is not a basic dissent between European Union and US. Maybe sometimes in the timing and approach, and the preparedness of the Americans, if necessary, to be available. I hope and I see not that the security framework does lead to this. But we have to avoid everything what could bring Bosnia, Herzegovina, or the Western Balkans as an area of less security. And some people in other parts of Europe having strange ideas. We cannot give not security. And I think in this context, US plays a very important role. And I got the impression, not only the impression, that they are continuing to do this, but their means sometimes they are a little bit more than European means in this context.
My name is Abdullah Tsuplov. I'm a student of the Faculty of Political Sciences in Sarajevo. My question is concerning what Your Excellence has mentioned before about young people being more included in decision-making in Bosnia. Is there an exact present structure in EU member state that you would specifically recommend for us? Thank you.
Thank you. This is not only an NGO issue. I think one should come to a framework of a structurized participation of young people in decision-making process. For example, and this is what I had in intention, I think this is now Article 17A or so what in the Constitution of the Federation, not yet of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Maybe I'm wrong, but you will find it. To say that if there is a request of 1,000, 5,000 of young people, not distincting between ethnic groups, ethnic origin, just to ask and to request voting about an issue and a proposal in a legislative branch, that they have to do it. I have made the experience in some exchange with young people here that they have good ideas. Okay, not every idea a young person has, I had some in my own, are really fitting for the implementation. But if they feel that somebody does not take them serious, there's the problem starting. So we have to find a mechanism that those who are addressed have the need to answer. This does not need to say, okay, we will do this, but for example, to have in 1 year time or half a year time a need to bring this to public discussion and make a decision. So I would suggest this, and according as well with the idea of citizens' rights we have in the European Union, with the possibility, if you have a certain number of signatures, then you can go for anything which has to be discussed and to decide it. This is one of the few parts. I would go for more exchange with other youth organizations on European level.
Thank you. My name is Mohamed Berka, and I'm Dean of Faculty of Agriculture and Food Science, and we can speak about agriculture policy in the European Union. But first of all, I studied in Germany, my PhD, and after that...
Wo?
Christian Albert University in Kiel.
Kiel.
Schleswig-Holstein. Okay. And after that, after my promotion, I spent 2 years in Ludwig-Maximilian University in Munich at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. But Thank you for your speech. It was very nice, and it's very nice to hear that your focus is on state of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And it's nice to hear that you are, on the first time, German citizen. You explain us. Frank, not Bayern or South Bayern.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to have the same speech in Mostar, in Banja Luka. Why? Because we have, that's my opinion, the problem. The people who work or live here in Bosnia, but loves more our neighbors. I think that's the problem, and we must talk about that. And the other question, actually, that is for me very important. You was here in 1992 in Bosnia. Can you tell me what is your opinion, what was in Bosnia between 1992 and 1994? Civil war or aggression? Thank you.
Yeah, I did not, or aggression, but das asked what?
What was in Bosnia between 1992 and 1995? Civil war or aggression on Bosnia?
To come to this key question. I was, as a young politician, 1992 invited to attend the referendum here in Sarajevo. Came a little bit late, but early enough to see the start of the violence. And I was among those young Germans saying, look, we Germans have made fully peacefully, without one shot, we have taken our right of self-determination by the integration of East and West Germany. What could us bring to tell to people in Bosnia-Herzegovina, or in this time in Slovenia or Croatia, to say, no, 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 you have to stay Yugoslav. So let them decide themselves. I may say that probably we did not oversee the full complex situation which was in there. But so then I was among, this is not my position, my mandate today, but to tell you about the situation, I was among the interventionists. I said we cannot let people lose their lives for what? And this was, some would have seen this as a civil war, but I would say if we go look on this now, and this is a very concrete name, this is not the only one, about genocide. Genocide is not a civil war. Genocide is just the attempt to wipe somebody out of existence.
My name is Ismeta Čardaković. I am a member of management board of the university, but my question is going to be raised in a capacity of ordinary citizen of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I have to say that the former speaker somehow stolen my question. And the question was, are you very optimistic, or are you optimistic at all, that you will be able to deliver a similar lecture in Banja Luka or Mostar soon, especially emphasizing the fact that the only legal entity of international law and communication is state of Bosnia and Herzegovina. There was not long ago a research funded by international community in the schools in Banja Luka and the Western Herzegovina, where the children in primary school considered capital of Bosnia Belgrade and Mostar. No one mentioned Sarajevo. Thank you.
Now I have to be a little bit diplomatic, but referring to my good friend Ivo Komšić, who was part in Dayton, and if you see his book, one of his books, where the cover is with a map. And this map about the region here, if you would have to look to see where is Bosnia-Herzegovina, you would not have found maybe some cantons, but nothing else. So I think we have to understand this is not any artificial structure. This is based in history, and this is based in a multi-ethnic people. And so I would go, I have to go, and I did already in some context as well, to go to Banja Luka. Probably you have heard that some people thought that they would have an opportunity to tell me where I have to go. I don't like this. I decide on myself where I will go. And my mandate says I have to go to all parts of Bosnia-Herzegovina, and be it Brčko, be it any place in the Federation or any place in the Republika Srpska. So yes, we have to deal with it. And the understanding of this hidden feeling that, by the way, we belong anywhere else. No, this is here. And if I would just give an example, not coming from Franconia and Bavaria, but look to Switzerland. Well, how is Switzerland composed? There is, I studied in the French-speaking Switzerland, the Swiss Romande, the Deutschschweiz, and the Italians. So, okay, they have as well the challenge to have different languages. Sometimes the languages in Switzerland are more different to each other than the languages here in Bosnia-Herzegovina, but let it as it is. So, and it works. We see with some trouble Belgium. They have as well had some long discussions to go, but this fits. So I would plead for not only for the positive understanding of Bosnia-Herzegovina as being the state and a normal state, I may say, but just take the contrary. Sometimes you have to think about what happens if something is not there and what would be the result. If we would start to talk about dissolution, and some people like to do this, I would say, like my friend, I may say call him so Bogut Pahor, he said recently, last year, you can talk about dissolution, but not about peaceful dissolution, because there is no peaceful dissolution in this region, saying that all those who are thinking that you have to change any borders or inter-ethnic boundary lines, that this is the definitely wrong approach. Why I'm here? Because we were a little bit astonished that there was this discussion about land swap some years ago, and my Chancellor Angela Merkel had the impression that this would be better to contribute to the development here. So this is why I understand why she asked me whether I would be prepared to come to Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is very serious, and those who are talking about dissolution, they are playing with the welfare and with the future of the country. If I would take the negative understanding, what would happen if there's one entity individual? I would not suggest. If I look just here on the economic potential of Bosnia-Herzegovina, we can work a little bit to improve. But the economic potential of, let me say, of Republika Srpska is really overseeable. And I haven't seen that the brain drain of young people is less from Republika Srpska than from other places here. Maybe just the opposite. So better we try to have the conditions of living better improved, and the experience of Europe is not that you make high borders control. No, to open, but this needs mutual understanding that one profits from each other. It's not naive what I'm saying. There are some problems as well in. But this is the key, and if you all this bring your both questions together, definitely the territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina is the only way of having European integration done. All other ideas are nonsense, political nonsense.
Thank you very much. I apologize for the misunderstanding. First of all, Your Excellency, thank you for your lecture today. I'm going to have two short questions. I'm a PhD student at the Faculty of Law of the University of Sarajevo, and I'm a senior teaching assistant at the faculty. My first question is, as a citizen, as a normal person living here in Bosnia, I often find myself confused as to how does the OHR function. Your predecessor, Valentin Inzko, has been a very passive OHR. Some of his predecessors were very active. What I would like to know is how does the OHR decide when to act as a sort of last resort institution in this country, given the vast amount of power that this institution has, and given, on the other hand, the lack of democratic legitimacy it has from the point of view of us as citizens. So, and to connect to that question, do you think that there should be a higher level of transparency within the OHR? Because to us, to normal citizens, OHR is a black box. We do not know what happens, when happens, etc., etc. The other question is, you talked briefly about the neighboring countries, and from Dayton up to today, we see that Croatia and Serbia are very powerful in terms of how they communicate with their co-nationals here in Bosnia, how the President of Serbia or President of Croatia communicates with the biggest Croat or Serbian political parties here in Bosnia. Bearing in mind your latest meeting with President Vučić and his tacit support to Dodik as a anti-state, anti-Bosnian political actor, have you talked with him, and can you disclose to us any of this conversation about what to do with these ethno-nationalist leaders that are well, stopping the very important processes that Bosnia is finding itself in, and also in a wider picture, how can Croatia and especially Serbia help Bosnia maybe heal its wounds and move on to European integration? Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, Professor, for letting me have the first question.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. This is somehow a contradiction of having a lot of possibility for executive powers and not having a public process of coming to it. Let me say I'm a little bit struggling with this because my experience as 31 years as member of a parliament was the whole day just about being transparent and talking. I learned, unfortunately, that there are sometimes decisions where if you go too much, not public, but only with the political class, this is not the way. I'm thinking about ideas, and maybe you can as well contribute how I could get for more participation. There was Restart has some ideas, others as well. I talked with Cook 99, or I wouldn't say that every day there's the ideas are shared, but NGOs and the civic society should play as well a part. I feel that you ask basically somehow what made you coming and deciding. Indeed, my predecessor came from a time, if I historically, is the Faculty of History as well here? But this is political sciences.
After Paddy Ashton, who was a very tough guy in executing on powers. And then up to my good friend Christian Schdmita. This was the speech where one thought, Ashton and Petrovic, we have laid the foundation together for the statehood. And then the terminus local ownership came, which was especially in European context was very, very highly approved, and I myself as well. Learning that we have not seen that the responsibility of the local authorities, let me stay with this term, did really concede into a state-building mechanism, but sometimes where individual or group advantages and interests have been more in the presence or in the horizon than it should be. So this led to this kind of dysfunctionality. When I came, I saw, and coming to the Federation, you know better than me, we had not a working constitutional court of the Federation, we had no presidency, we had no government or acting government in the knowledge government since for 4 years, without after the election 2018 having seen any decision of anybody of voting for a new government. So I said, okay, what's my job here? My job is to fix things if the country gets a problem, and Houston with a problem. How can we have a government without this legitimation and only acting for such a long time? And so this what made me, including the attempt to bring the three parts together. Yes, I have learned between that you have to be very, very cautious not to be put in the box of you're now a friend of the Croats, now you're a friend of the Bosniaks, then you're a friend of the Serbs. This is something one has to take on one side serious, on the other side you cannot make decisions just on this pattern. So because it has to be oriented on the constitution and functionality. So this is what I saw. You asked me about Belgrade. Belgrade and Zagreb are both signatory states of the Dayton Peace Agreement. So this is why I have to work with them. So far I haven't seen, with all discussions, we had that they are posing a question of the territorial integrity of the state. I would exclude, we have heard from Croatia recently during the campaign some statements where I was a little bit struck, and we had heard 25% of the territory are sufficient for the Bosniaks, or did he say the Muslims? I think this is something, if it would be responded in a positive way, in this way from Serbia, I think we have a problem. We did not see, we did see a lot of rhetoric, but we did not see this. And I understand my job to keep the framework, and this includes as well other countries, including up to coming to Ankara or to Brussels, to see that this is maintained. So far, I would see the good old times of Valentininsko. I would like to have it, but I wouldn't see that we have the opportunity in this decisive time of Bosnia-Herzegovina to go for, as an applicant for membership to European integration. Now, let things only go. I think we have to act time by time, as includes me. Some people have intended to see that I would like to make decisions. May I tell you, I do not like to make decisions. but I think if it's necessary, it's my mandate, probably a little bit German duty service, I have to do it, and so this is what I do. We have to think about transparency more. I tried in several cases, but I would invite you and those reflecting about this, how one could improve this. And when we can end this.
So we have literally 1 more minute, and I will be very brief with my question. So how do you see protection, in the future, protection of the human rights in Bosnia and Herzegovina? If you want me to make it even briefer, do you see that sometimes in the next days and during while I'm still alive on this earth, I could be a president of this country as declared as others?
Everybody, thank you. It's not about the length of the question, it's about the length of the answer. As long as there is distinction between individuals running for public mandate, this country the constitution of this country is not prepared for full membership in the European Union. Full stop. And all those who are thinking, okay, and no. This is the basis foundation idea of European integration. If you start to distinct in Europe, you find such a lot of guys you like more or like less. If we would start to do this, we are off. So I think definitely this has to be on the chapter of state of law. This is chapter 23, 24 of the negotiations, and there has to be involved the decisions of the European Court of Human Rights. And we have been relatively close to some proposal at NEO. This was about deleting the ethnic prefixes in the constitution. But you cannot say, let's us make the Lubitsch case by just non-regarding the constitution. This is not about this drafting of constituencies and its forms. This is about the basic question, can everybody who wants be elected as a member of the presidency of this country? Probably this leads to some understanding what the presidency is about. But this is not on me to say, just I see there's a lot of work, and coming to my beginning, I see that not everybody in Bosnia-Herzegovina has already realized that hard work is to be done, and not only pleasant work. There has to be made decisions, but if there's a way for Bosnia-Herzegovina to do this, this is European integration. But European integration will ask for it and not accept that there is postponing for the next 20 years.
Your Excellency, thank you for your time.